It's true. Worm hearts can save humanity. You can live for hundreds of years, halt the aging process, stay beautiful, and then also, we're probably going to do a lot on this one, time skipping. That's like a whole another process. We'll have to think about that one. But you can become a time skipper. You know, worm hearts, well, the first time I saw worm hearts were in this earthworm when I was a boy. And we cut open an earthworm that's pinned to a piece of wax. And I remember watching those little hearts. And then there's 3 of them that I saw. They say now online there's 5, but I only saw 3. Maybe the other ones are really tiny or buried in the sinew. Anyways, so ever since then I've been thinking about the human heart and augmenting it. As a matter of fact, at one point I wanted to replace it. I'm like, I'll just get rid of the human heart. But that's not the right idea. You shouldn't do that. What you should do is augment it. So how do you augment it? And that's the other thing too. You know, you look at number 1. Allows the patient to keep the original heart. Don't remove your original heart. If you remove it, the scar tissue that joins it to your body is like 6 times weaker. Well, either way, it's weaker. It becomes, they leak, first off. So you want to leave your original heart in there. You just want to augment its ability to pump blood through your body. And to do that, you're going to need one of these. This is a worm heart. A new one, though, that I'm kind of thinking about making. And I'm going to need some backing online, so you people want to follow what's going on here, and you want to halt the aging process. You want to stay beautiful. This thing can do it. You have to put them in different parts of your body, though, like you know, in your main arteries, in your legs, inside your arms. You won't see them, and that's I think important to a lot of you Hollywood types. I mean, you wouldn't have a bunch of ugly scars that everybody saw, but you'd be augmented. The augmentation is these piezo pumps. They work with a RF pulse frequency, and what it does is it squeezes the blood to enter this thing. And you know, you see these tubules here? Tubules are great. I think it might not be a good thing though if you're prone to blood clots. I don't think. Well, it might break them up too. I mean, we could design it that way. Like if it was conical, it'd probably just break them up, because it's a suction thing too. But you don't want a clog point. So the tubules, maybe the tubules have to be suspended somehow or magnetically, you know, so the blood can flow around. You want like a resonance echo in there so that everything gets treated or squeezed. But you can take that piece out. This was just a concept I had for tubules for amplifying the incoming piezo. So let's just go over what this is for. Optimize blood flow through brain to avoid your strokes. Yeah, that's what we need. That's due to your aged or damaged heart. In today's world, you know, you could be lifting something at work, or you could be singing, you could be acting, you could be doing all kinds of different things, just generally working, and when you age, you eventually damage your heart. So these augment the blood flow in your body to your brain and your organs and stuff like that through a wireless powered micro pump worm heart that you put in your arteries or in place of that section of artery. I think that's up to the surgeons, but I need to get these things in there somehow. Now I was thinking about putting like a live cell sheath around it, really strong. That's on the inside of your leg, so it shouldn't affect you too much. Alright, so are you prepared for the upcoming battle? Because it's just going to keep going. The battle with aging. How do you correct it? How do you halt the aging process? Well, this, using stents, that would be in combination with stents to keep, you know, the area in front of and behind the pump. You got to keep them not blocked. So you got to put a stent inside the artery to hold it away so the blood flow can make it into this thing. It allows for precision control of blood pressure delivered to the brain or body for maximum longevity. How do you do that? You set up a campus with multiple RF antennas that broadcast a specific pulse frequency that this scavenger coil will pick up and feed into the piezo array, which will react at a certain volts per pulse. That means that this thing's going to go squish, 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 squish when these things broadcast. And you can have different intensities, you have different zones of intensity that you can put people at various stages of the deployment within their lives of this device. You know, they can get used to it. They can have, and then eventually you reach a point where you get super augmented people too, like, you know, mathematicians that can outthink Newton, Einstein. Those guys were yesterday's news compared to the super augments that could exist inside an augmented blood flow system that is just, I mean, you can hit turbo. Remember, don't hold it down for too long. Not can you turbo. But you could have moments where they exceed anybody. Anyways, so, you know, having precise control of your blood pressure, really, really good idea, because then you got all the nutrients and things that everything needs in your body for maximum longevity. And you could have feedback through your normal physician that's going to be doing blood tests on you to see where your levels are, what you need to increase and what you need to decrease. So work with your doctor on that one. But I'm looking for funding. I want to make these things. I want to make these things, and I want people to live for hundreds of years. I want you to stay beautiful. I want to halt your aging process. I'm just saying, why don't we telecommute? You can find me online on Patreon and Kickstarter, and let's just get something rolling, because these wouldn't be that hard to make. I already make a similar product, and I know how to make the scavenger coils and all this other stuff. So, as we move forward, okay, so why would we want to do this? Well, even today, sitting there, I don't care how old you are or how young you are. When you reach a point in your life, you start truncating your chromosomes on your DNA. On the ends, they start fading away. And the Israelis had a recent process where they put you in hyperbaric chamber for, say, what is it, like 3 hours a day, and then the ends stop fraying quite so fast. Can't completely stop it, but it can prevent it. And that's part of what we're doing here. Is you're going to be adding more nutrients at a very specific rate. But because you haven't had the worm heart since you were like 18, you know, you're not going to be able to shoot for like 500 years or 1,000 years. But you could get a couple hundred, and I think that's worth your money, and I think that's worth your time. This is something that I can envision working with today's technology. And look at this thing. Oh, notice the lack of circuitry, like from a chip perspective. This is not operated via this. And oh, that's the other reason to take out the screen. You gotta allow for the heart. In case of power outage. But it might have one out. So, in these worm heart camps, you could have different strengths that would push the fluid through your body at different rates. You would live in a zone. It's like a housing zone. You know, a developed housing zone that'd be safe with like a big gated, super secured area. I mean, I would secure it with my own plasma weapons, of course. Nothing's getting in there, right? Anyways, so these things, what they do is they pick up pulses from the towers. The towers shoot that stuff across the campus, and wherever you live, depending on what flow rate you need, you live in that zone. You live in A zone, you live in B zone. And like I said, there can be super augments that go in for like, I don't know how long they'd last, but you could do, like I said, 3 hours or so, I guess. And then imagine gaming. A super augment on a game, he would just destroy everybody. He'd be able to see fast. Anyways, super augmented. Alright, so a patient must live within the wireless community that provides power. That's what I was just trying to explain. Once you get this augmentation, you have to live on the reservation. Yeah, the life reservation, I don't know, true millennials. Can we call them that without like getting things screwed up? Alright, so people that are going to shoot for like 1,000 years, how would you do that? You would be like 16? Would be somebody who's trying for 1,000 years, and they'd have to decide on their own, because They have the legal right at 18 to do whatever the hell they want with their body. But I think it's 16 too, especially with something you're trying for an augmentation. Maybe you are a gamer. They would take and put stuff in there in your legs, and then you would be in a field, an augmentation field. Now, the thing is though, once you get these input, if there's a power outage, you're going to probably just pass out. You're going to fall to the ground. Your heart will still beat, but it'll be really kind of hard for it to do. And you might not pass out. Depends on how strong you are. Anyways, so if you lose power, that's a problem. So you want to have redundancy. Overlapping redundancy. I know all about redundancy. That's what I'm saying. All this stuff, the campus, everything, it's like in my head. So how these things are powered, real quick, is they use this scavenger coil technology. And the scavenger coil acts as a coil for pickup, but it also, and this will vary in thickness, and it'll take a little bit of playing around to match it to a frequency that'll give us volts per pulse that we really want. Now, if we wanted to be really, really cool about these things in America, you put these things in here, and I'd tune these things to 60 hertz. Because you've already got a 1 volt per pulse frequency in your house right now, in the air. As long as you're around 60 hertz, you'll be fine. Now, that means that, well, you'd be augmented, I should say. It depends on how hard you want these things to pump. There's different layers. This is a piezo tube that has multiple layers going in, and it runs the charge one end to the other, so you get this kind of squeezy, soundy thing that goes through the middle. Anyways, so it goes positive, negative. Okay, so patients must live within wireless community that provides power. Yes, optimal production of health and body can be tuned to maximum effect. That's what I'm talking about too. All you Hollywood types with all this money, you don't know what to do with it. With this technology, we could augment your blood flow so that you would have a new layer of health, a new layer of like, how long can I stay looking like this without major surgery kind of thing. I mean, imagine if you were the first popular actor or actress to get this process done successfully. And suddenly, you now look the same for 50 years, 100 years. That's the type of coin this is. And I think it's worth your time and your money to throw a coin at it. If that's the type of investor you are, you can see the vision that I just portrayed to you. You want to be that first millionaire or billionaire to cross the 100, 150. Oh, are you super famous now? As soon as you get over 100, you are just top dog, more famous than anybody. Just the way it works. So, there's going to be some ups and some downs with the technology, of course, and augmenting everybody would actually be possible. From what I see with the human physiology, only those with rare vascular conditions would not qualify for this. Has to have a certain healing rate. They couldn't be like... I see, diabetes is a weird one. I studied that for a while, and that's... Unfortunately, diabetics may not heal fast enough unless they're taking all their meds. So if you get like a free-roaming, freelancing diabetic, they would have trouble healing from this type of procedure. Well, I mean, they'd eventually heal. But I'm saying the constant body maintenance that our bodies do. Anyways, wouldn't recommend it for diabetics or people with vascular issues. How about that? Vascular issues in that sense. I mean, you could still do augmentation even with vascular issues if you made sure the flow rate was correct. If the flow rate was correct, then you'd have no issues. Yeah. You could do a real delicate, discreet one. It doesn't have to, you don't think of it as a replacement for your heart, because that's not what it's designed to do. What it's designed to do is go in and act as a series of separate pumps. Patient must live within the wireless community, optimum production of health and body. Now, certain pets, and this is one thing I know that all of you rich people who have rich pets and rich lives, it would be great. What if Fido could live as long as you could? What about Kitty? Same thing. They would just be smaller and probably easier and cheaper to make. So you get 2 of these put in Fido and he lives another 10 years. That'd be worth it, right? 20 years? That would be worth it, wouldn't it? 20 years. You could grow old together at like the same rate. Imagine how smart he'd be. So, yeah. Certain pets will be eligible for the worm heart extension technology. You know, there's no fancy electronics in here. There's no like little chips and stuff that are gonna blow up if there's an EMP. So Fido and you would survive the apocalypse, even if you were knocked unconscious. I mean, eventually we can like tune these to like Earth frequencies. The most powerful ones are the ones like here that surround us, 60 hertz. Yeah, 60 hertz is the surrounding field. That's 1 volt per pulse, roughly. Anyways, so Fido could live longer. There's no fancy electronics. There's less points of failure. This is like a circuit system that has and can have multiple paths for current. So you could definitely overlap that. Yeah, you could definitely overlap that because that's coil-based pickups. Yeah, and then your capacitance is not done through electrolytics, so you don't have to worry about something leaking into your body like the silicon implants of old. This one right here doesn't leak. It's sealed in a titanium capsule, and the titanium is surrounded by a live cell sheet. That's what I'd like to do. And there's already products on the market that are silicon that can encapsulate that. And anyway, so silicon liquid bad, silicon other stuff maybe not. They make stuff out of it. Anyways, so it's not just going to fail. You might get one really hard pump, pump. Oh no, a little bit more. You know, it's like you're at a level where you can go higher. Like if you had more blood flow right now, you could think better and you'd have more broad thoughts and stuff like that. Just had a better flow, an optimized flow, and that's what this stuff can do. Okay, so multiple emitters ensure redundancy and slow failure rate. So if you're on a network, you can overlap that RF network, so you have overlapping minimal, like 4 times redundancy. I don't know, there will be laws. In the future, there will be laws as to how many layers of redundancy you have to have on a worm heart or an extended life campus. Because people that are on the extended life campus, normal people can go on there too. They're not wearing those coils. And even if they were, they would get a boost. So there's going to be vehicles that are equipped with these RF pulses. They're like, you sit down in the vehicle, like an Uber and a Lyft, but it's for these people. And that's, you know, your limos, your armored transports, things that can protect themselves as well as you. That's what you put those systems in. So when you're inside, it's a reflective cavity, lots of extra armor, no problem. And you get your extension while you're in your vehicle, so you can be done. Anyways, so let me see. Corrects blood flow to body, eliminating aging process to DNA from heart enlargement and slowing. When we get older, our hearts get bigger, and the time between beats grows longer. So we have less blood flow, and sometimes no blood flow for a period of time. Oh, there it goes again. Oh, might be the drugs you're on, but you love your drugs. Or you love your job. Some people just walk around with arrhythmia all the time. This would back it up. This would create a new layer of flow through your consciousness. You might even develop a brand new personality from your old personality, all the best points, of course. Aging can be halted at specific points where the body health is at your peak. Like I said, work with your doctor. If you're going to go this route and you're going to invest in this technology, invest in me to bring it to market and bring it out there, then, you know, you're just gonna have to keep your body like pretty peak, you know, probably before and after you get the procedure. Eat right, exercise a bit, you know. Right, so aging can be halted at a specific point. Now, this is something that is very specific with this technology. Because I can control the rate of flow through these and the pressure and everything else, and I can monitor it externally through just a simple wrist watch, probably. That sits there and checks your blood pressure and temperature. I used to have one. You can feed it back to a computer that runs this PulseNet, or computers, for redundancy. So, are you going to die if the power turns off? No. You'll fall down, you'll sleep, you go into a deep coma. But like I said, if you're of a certain type, you might just may feel like really fatigued, and you have to just use all your willpower to stand up. And those guys would be called like ex-military and just people that can produce willpower beyond their body. That's those people. And powerlifters, there's actors out there can do that too. I mean, have you seen them nowadays? They're just, they're going just, wow. All right, so let's keep going. Okay, aging can be halted at specific points. Okay, so all of you who would be out there right now in Hollywood watching this, you want to halt your aging. This technology has the definite potential to do that, because what it's going to do is it's going to stop the oxidation on your chromosomes. That's what causes the aging process. And if you've done enough research, medical research, to figure out why you're getting older and how to stop it, you'll see that's the case. It's preservation of the DNA. As the DNA gets like truncated on the ends, it just starts falling apart, little bits do. And then suddenly we start aging. And that's where aging comes from, is a lack of oxygen and nutrients and liquids through those DNA-laden areas that control your body. So what you want to do is you want to augment that flow, and that's what these do. These will stop you from getting, let's see here, older. You just kind of like, I'd love to see somebody who before and after, because I know it's going to augment. It's going to just, everything's just going to fill back in. You're just going to be able to reinflate. Now there's other things, you know, like your kidneys and things. I mean, there's going to be limits, but it definitely should halt or severely slow it down. I think the people that get it done today would live closer to 200 years. So it's like throwing, like I said, 20 years at your career. Would you like to keep doing the same thing you're doing for the next 20 years? Whether you're an engineer, whether you're a scientist, whether you're a dad, I mean, a housewife. Wouldn't you love to have 20 more years with your kids? Wouldn't that be cool? Anyways, so if you want to invest in this, I think it's a really good investment. I really do. This is going to work, and this is going to work on everybody. This just made everybody live up to 300 years with our current population, and how you could mesh this into the most common people to get the extension process. And I see lines out the door for this technology. It's so safe and so helpful. And like I said, remember the titanium pipette? Titanium, you know, that's like just an idea. Like, we'll probably end up putting it in silicon, something semi-flexible, because it's a coil. I can make the coil on the outside, you know, anchor into various points. Just make it a little bit thicker. And a finer coil, too. So will it work? Yeah. It'll work. Piezo, silicone. We might even put a silicone channel down the middle. Just coat the whole thing in silicone. And I was dissing it earlier, but I know it works as a solid. I think the liquid was the problem. Anyways, so correct your blood flow to your body, eliminating the aging process to DNA from heart enlargement. Aging can be halted at specific points, so we just talked about. Allows humans to exist for hundreds of years. Art, science, math, medicine, text, TV, movies. Imagine what type of script you would write if you were a writer and you've been doing it for 150 years in Hollywood. You would write the most amazing scripts, I think. I'm sure you do too, it's just one of those things. Alright, so, allows humans to exist for hundreds of years. Well, that's good. Okay, and then the last thing that I think is super cool to point out about this technology is you can have stasis technology, even if the heart stops or is ineffective due to a lack of contractions. Or you can automatically go into a scheduled deep sleep. And people that go into scheduled deep sleeps, those are the people I want to call skippers or time skippers. They do it on purpose. They have the procedure done, they go through the healing process and make sure everything's good, and then they're chemically put to sleep. and still fed via IV and other stuff like that. But they go into a deep sleep where the heart is beating so slow that it's ineffective. It's still moving stuff, but it's not as effective as it. It's like boom, 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 boom. So these things are going to augment stasis and deep sleep. So we have access to that now as a species, which I think is super cool. Now we can look more seriously into space travel, going to other worlds. Now we can go into deep stasis and stay alive while doing it. Could you put this on the outside and put veins in and do this? Yeah, you could. Still can. This would just allow you to keep your blood in you and still keep it moving. Even if your heart completely stops, these things would keep the blood moving. So that could be like, are you a colonel? Are you a general in this army, in this military? Wouldn't you love it that if something literally poked you so hard that your heart stopped working for some reason, effectively? Whether it be, we're talking shell shock, we're talking like war. If something in war stopped your heart, concussive, who knows? These things, as long as you were within your campus, would keep you alive. I'm sure they'd have overlapping emitters. Hell, you could get super soldiers out of these things. Oops, did I say that? I'm pretty pro, like, when it comes to military technology. I see this fitting right in to the arsenal, I do. Yep, soldiers that have optimized blood flow for, well, the whole time they serve. They join, they get the implants, and then they're a super soldier the whole time. They can run faster, go further, carry more, stay awake, be more alert, be more calculative because they have these implants. And they can be super, during the battle, everybody else, they've got bullet time. They're like, their just physical movement will be faster than everybody else, which I think is a good reason to invest in worm heart technology. Even with the war going on, even with the multiple wars going on. I think the most important thing here that we can say is that this has finally arrived. That's really cool. So, I think the most important thing to point out on the board is you get to keep your original heart. I think this, even if they come out with synthetic ones, this is more important than anything because your body, your brain and your heart are a match. Your body knows how to run your heart because you two are like made for each other, made of each other. Synthetics will always fail. These allow you to keep the original heart in the same spot. Now, if you've followed heart transplant surgeries, multiple bypasses, I've seen them. Those guys die. So, if you're considering a heart transplant right now, and you have the insurance, or you have the cash to back a project, let's see if we can get this moving faster, because right now I'm like sitting at home going, well, I could make that coil by hand, but it sure would be nice to have a winding machine so I could just go dee, 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 psh, zzz, then I have the coil I need. Over and over and over again. Same coil. I need one of those machines, and those are millions of dollars. Yeah, CNC winder, psh, all the different spools and thread counts and shit, it'd be a custom machine. Or maybe not. Maybe I'm over exaggerating. Maybe it's only a $400,000 machine. Either way, I don't have it. So, yet. That doesn't mean that we're done. It just means I don't have it yet. All right. So, why not get this? I think it'd be cool. And I challenge you. I urge you to look me up on Patreon. To look me up on Kickstarter. I'm going to put a Kickstarter up for this one. It's called The Worm Heart Project. Nice? The Worm Heart Project. And now, I can envision people, if they get the surgery, have these installed at the right time, young actors could literally stay young and just keep doing what they do. Same with engineering. Sometimes there's just a bright, shining star in mathematics, engineering, scientific pursuits, all these different things. Those people could get augmented by choice or by, the government seeking them out and saying, hey, we want to augment you. They could just go around and tap people on the shoulder. Hey, do you want to be augmented? Special people. So I think there's the money to do it. And we're already putting a lot into drones right now, and I think that's just too much. I think these will benefit mankind more than another 1,000 drones would. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Like I said, hit me up on Patreon, Kickstarter. There will be one. I have to make one, of course. But it'll be called The Worm Heart Project. If you like what you see, watch my other videos. I'm pretty darn accurate. I use referenced material on almost all of it. So some of you have to kind of fill in the blanks, like the Spectre video. That was odd. I don't know what they were, but they were down in Florida. Spectres. I haven't seen them up here. What do you think of that? But yeah. All over Florida. There's literally specters running all over Florida. That's what you see. Or it's some type of creature, I don't know. Anyways. You just see stuff. And that's the problem with blood flow interruptions. If you have a blood flow interruption, you're going to see stuff. And until you get your blood flow corrected, you're going to feel weak and tired all the time and stuff like that. I mean, you got to think about another option than pills. If you're doing exercise already, great. If you're eating right, great. But I think that everybody needs to think about, I've got X number of money, I know I'm going to live for X number of years. What if I could double it? What if I could triple it? Should I bet? And the answer is yes. This is obviously a gift from God. This is so everything it needs to be right now. And then it can be made. And that's a gift from God. In my opinion, that's a God-given gift. And in that sense, I mean, yeah, I could make these. I understand how to make these. But I'm going to need a lot of damn money because these things are going to cost money. And they're going to be small, but all the medical paperwork that I need to get these things approved to put in people is going to be the most expensive. We're talking like lawyers. Like, so many you got to probably interact with all the way up. The American Medical Association, the FDA. If we tie them to the power grid, then I guess it'd have to be UL too, right? I mean, why not? Throw another certification on it, CEUL. What's that? Are you looking for a new heart pump? Oh, these are great. Are they augment pump? Yeah, these things. There'd be like salesmen for these things, and certain doctors that do the procedures. So I think that's saying a lot. We should just move forward with this as soon as possible. Talk to you later.